The remains of former UN Secretary General Kofi Annan is expected to arrive in Ghana later today for his state burial this week. The body of the late Secretary General will be accompanied by the widow, children, and some UN officials. Here are key dates in the life of the global icon. Well, while we some key dates in the life of the late Kofi Annan. In 1984, he married Nan Lager Green after divorcing a year earlier. In 1938, he was born in Kumasi, Ghana. 1962, he started working at the UN in Switzerland. Then in 1965, he got married to Titi Alakija. They have 2 children. In 1984, he married Nan Lager Green after divorcing a year earlier. In 1991, his twin sister Ifwa died. 1997, appointed 7th UN Secretary General. In 2001, he won the Nobel Peace Prize. Now let's take you live to the Accra International Conference Center, where the funeral of the late Secretary General will take place. Nancy Dradosi is there for us.
No, the UN General Secretary, former UN General Secretary, is not in the casket yet. But this is just a dress rehearsal or a simulation ahead of the main event. We know that the remains of the former UN General Secretary is expected to be in the country around 4 p.m. And so today what has been going on is the fact that people or the military, armed forces, all the stakeholders are here to dress up or to have some rehearsals ahead of this so that they do not make any fault on the day or at the time that the body will be arriving. So what you see is what will be happening probably on Friday, because that's when the burial service will take place. And so inside they were showing their men how to go about laying the rest, how to march, how to use the body to pass and all of that. So that is what has been happening here at the conference center. You see the armed men already marching. So this is just a dress rehearsal that is actually going on at the premises. Lots of people are gathered here to ensure that this 3-day burial would be befitting and would be look as pleasant as it's supposed to be. So the body, the casket is being carried away just like how it would be carried away on that particular day. But let's try and enter and find out how preparations is ongoing so far. So you see lots of these people standing here. The armor car is already passing by. This should tell you that the armed men or the military personnel are already ready to put together a very beautiful and a befitting funeral for our departed soul. So let's enter. I'm sure that we'll see quite a number of things that will show how prepared we are for this. And so this is the entrance of the conference center. Now, what you see here is the casket, and this is where the casket of the late UN General Secretary would be placed ahead of the funeral. So if tomorrow is going to be the filing past of the body, people, the general public, are being called to come and walk past this. So this is where the casket of Mr. Kofi Annan would be placed tomorrow, and then on Wednesday. Before Thursday, we're going to have the burial service. So this is what this place looks like. But then let's enter the main auditorium, because that is where the burial service actually is going to be taking place. Earlier when we came here, we entered, we saw the commander, instructing, no, pass here, don't do this. This is what you're supposed to do. Commanding and instructing them what to do and what not to do. So if you can briefly see, I'm sure that's a second batch of people who are supposed to undertake some activities here. Probably the ushers being guided or being coached on what to do exactly on the day. So from tomorrow, it is going to be the filing past by the general public. On Wednesday, going to be a filing past by the ministers of state, by MPs, members of parliament, politicians, recognized groups. So this is how inside is going to be looking like. on that particular day. But then on Thursday is actually going to be the burial service of the late Mr. Kofi Annan. So basically, this is how the auditorium looks like, all prepared and all ready to host our departed Mr. Kofi Annan.
Nancy Emefajotosi there bringing us details from the Accra International Conference Center, even as we prepare to receive the body of the late UN Secretary General. But let me just bring you Information Minister Designate Kojo Opon Nkrumah giving us details of the entire funeral plans.
The Kofi Annan Funeral Committee, upon consultation with the family of the late UN Secretary General, announces the following activities for his final funeral and interment rites. Monday, September 10, 2018, arrival of Mr. Annan's remains at the Accra International Airport at 4 p.m. The remains will be accompanied by his widow, children, and some United Nations officials. The remains will be received with a brief ceremony led by the Ghana Armed Forces and the President of the Republic. The remains will then be moved to the Accra International Conference Center from the airport. Tuesday, September 11, 2018, there will be filing past and paying of last respects by members of the general public at the Accra International Conference Center. This will be between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. and we encourage the general public to come pay their last respects to this illustrious son of Ghana. Wednesday, September 12, 2018, there will be filing past and paying of last respects by dignitaries, including recognized groups, chiefs, members of parliament, and ministers of state. A detail of the time slots for each of these groups will subsequently be made available. Thursday, September 13, is the burial service and final interment. The service commences at 9 a.m. at the Accra International Conference Center. It will be attended by United Nations officials, several heads of state, diplomatic delegations, and the Ghanaian general public. It will be followed by a private burial at midday at the new military cemetery with full military honors and a 17-gun salute. Mr. Annan's personal testament requested for a simple, solemn final set of activities with no frills, and the state, while we wish to give him a befitting burial, will accommodate his wishes as well.
May his soul rest in perfect peace. This is the channel to stay with. The JoyNews channel will bring you all you need to know on this particular funeral to honor this global icon, Kofi Annan.